Warriors NRL fanatics here, back today with a video, and I'm going to get into my NRL tips for round 3. Now before doing so, just letting you all know that I did a preview with In the Stands podcast for the Warriors versus the Canberra Raiders game on Saturday. We did it yesterday evening. We went through the team list, went through key players for both teams and gave out predictions, but I'm going to have a change of prediction in this video, so just letting you all know that I have changed my prediction. But if you guys want to see that preview, go check out the video on the channel and give it a watch. So now to get into my round 3 tips, and it all kicks off on Thursday the 25th of March, and it's the Penrith Panthers versus the Melbourne Storm at Penrith Stadium. Now, the Penrith Panthers have started off the season quite well. They are 2-0 at the moment. They won last week over the Bulldogs. They kept them scoreless, and they also kept the Cowboys scoreless in the round 1 as well. So, first 2 games of the season, the Penrith Panthers have defended quite well and kept both teams scoreless. But, this is a big test for Penrith, and, the Bulldogs and the Cowboys, look, they're not great teams. So, this is a big challenge here for Penrith. And some very big news too that broke this afternoon. It's regards to Nathan Cleary. Now, if you guys don't already know, he was originally named to play this week after coming off late in the second half against the Bulldogs. But he hasn't been cleared to play. He has been ruled out this afternoon, and he won't be taking on the Melbourne Storm tomorrow tomorrow evening. And yeah, it's some big news there for Penrith. They haven't got Episode Coruscant. He's out with an injury. And Nathan Cleary out is a big, big blow for Penrith. And it's going to change my predicted margin for my tips. So, going into Melbourne Storm, well, their performance last week wasn't great against the Parramatta Eels. They made a few uncharacteristic mistakes. And it wasn't a Melbourne-like performance like we're used to seeing. So, Craig Bellamy's going to have them fired up this weekend for this game. And it's a big game too, because at the moment, Melbourne are outside the top 8. You don't often say that, but I know it's early days, but you really say Melbourne is outside the top 8 in the NRL. But going into this game, I think Melbourne will be fired up. I think they'll want to bounce back, and I'm going to back them in here. I know it's at Penrith Stadium, but now with the big news of Nathan Cleary being ruled out, I think Melbourne will win this rather comfortably. Originally, I thought this would be a close game, but now with Nathan Cleary out, I think Melbourne will win this pretty comfortably over Penrith. I've got the Melbourne Storm by 14 points, and my first try scorer, I've gone with Josh Addo-Carr. On Friday, the 26th of March, the first of 2 games sees the Dragons versus Manly, and this is at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Now, the Dragons last week are coming off a good win over the Cowboys. Had a great second half performance. Very, very tight game. Very high scoring. Lots of tries. And Dragons, their performance was very good. Good to get off the mark for them. Bit of a relief for them to finally get their first win of the season. As for the Manly Seals, now they haven't started the season off well. They're 0-2 at the moment. I thought last week they were a lot better than their round 1 performance against the Roosters. They're much improved, and they were taking it to the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Fords. And they were well in the contest there, but unfortunately, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, they were far too good in the end. So going into this game, now I think the momentum of the Dragons getting a win last week up there in Townsville, which is not an easy place to get a win, I think they'll get up here. I think the Dragons will win by 8 points. In my first try scorer, I've gone with Matt Duffy. The next game on Friday night sees the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Sydney Roosters, and this is at Stadium Australia. Originally was ANZ Stadium, and this is going to be a great game. 2 of the biggest arch rivals in the NRL history. Both hate each other, South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Roosters. Very big rivals. It's going to be a good game, this one, and it's a very tough one to call, actually. Now, if you're going on form, the Roosters' first 2 games of the season have been outstanding. They've been great form. I know the 2 teams they played were the Tigers in that, but they showed great performances in both those games. James Tedesco, the Morris brothers are on fire. Luke Keary's having a great game as well. And yeah, going by on the Roosters' form, I'm going to have to tip them here. But looking at the Rabbitohs last week, they had a good win last week against the Manly Seagulls, but it wasn't a pretty performance, but they got the job done. So this is very much a toss of a coin for me, this game. This one is a hard one to call, but I've gone the Sydney Roosters here. I think it'll be an absolute cracker. It'll be very close. And I've gone the Roosters by 1. And I think Luke Keary will get a field goal for the Roosters to get over the line, and they'll win by 1 point. I've gone first try scorer. I've gone with Josh Morris. Now, on Saturday, the 27th of March, the first of 3 games. Now, I know I put up a prediction in the preview video yesterday, and I said the Raiders would get the win over the Warriors. Now, I know people are going to bash me and say, oh, why don't you back your team and all that? And you know what? You guys do have a point. I know it's going to be a tough game and all that, and we've got no Harris Tavita. Now Harris Tavita's out for the next couple of months. And, you know, Bunty Afoa's moved into the prop position, and we've got O'Sullivan into the halves. But, you know what? You guys are probably right. You know, I probably just went off my head yesterday when I picked the Raiders to win. And, you know, I have actually had a long thought about this game, Warriors-Raiders. And I thought, why not tip the Warriors here? I think they can produce an upset. Why not? Back them in. I'm going to back the boys in here. I think the Warriors can get the job done over the Raiders in a very, very tight game. And I've gone the Warriors by 4. And my first try scorer, I've gone with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the fullback, the captain, and the skipper himself, Roger. So, yeah, Warriors by 4. And I'm backing the boys in all the way, 100%. They can get the job done, definitely. And, yeah, go the mighty Warriors. And I reckon they'll get the job done over the Raiders. The second game on Super Saturday sees the Broncos versus the Bulldogs at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Now, going into both teams' performances last week, they weren't the best. Now, the Bulldogs, they were pretty ordinary against the Panthers last week, and they didn't really show much to threaten the Penrith Panthers, I thought. As for the Broncos now, I thought they were okay in some patches, but, you know, there were a few soft tries given away from Brisbane. You know, David Fifita, he had an absolute cracker against his former team. And, yeah, I don't know who to pick in this game. I'm really not sure to pick. I was umming and ahhing on who to pick in this game. It was a flip of a coin, but, you know, this is really Brisbane's game. They must win. They have to win this game. They need to get out of this losing streak or run they're on at the moment, because they haven't won a game in a long time. I think Brisbane will be very desperate to get off the mark here, and it's at Suncorp Stadium, so there's no excuses for Brisbane not to get a win here, and they have to produce a better performance. And I'm going to go Brisbane. I'm tipping them by 12, and I'm going first try scorer. I'm going with Jermaine Asako. The last game on Super Saturday sees the Parramatta Eels versus the Cronulla Sharks at Bankwest Stadium up there at Parramatta. And, you know, this game, you know, looking at the Sharks' performance last week, it was pretty much goal kicking that cost the Sharks the game from Chad Townsend. They missed a lot of kicks. The game was very close, and they could have won that game. They could have stolen that game from the Raiders, because I thought the Raiders were going to win rather comfortably when they started the game off pretty well in the first half. But the second half, the Sharks really made a fist out of it, but it was goal kicking that came back to bite them in the end, and it could have been sent to Golden Point, or they could have won it in regulation time, the Sharks. So, going into this game, you know, looking at Parramatta's performance over the Melbourne Storm, that was outstanding last week. Can Parramatta back it up this week? You know, when teams have beaten teams like the Melbourne Storm and the Roosters or teams like that, the following week they've always struggled to back it up. And my question is to Parramatta, can they back it up this week? And, you know, they should do. It's at home. The Cronulla Sharks, look, I've not been convinced by them. The Parramatta Eels have been pretty good. Mitchell Moses, I thought, had a pretty good game for the Parramatta Eels last week up against the Melbourne Storm with his kicking game. So, I think Parramatta will continue their winning run here. I think they'll continue their strong start this season, go 3-0 to start the year. And I think they'll beat the Sharks rather comfortably, actually. I reckon they'll win by 26 points. Parramatta Eels by 26 points. First try, I'm going with Clinton Gufferson. On Sunday, the 29th of March, sees the Newcastle Knights versus the West Tigers at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. The Newcastle Knights, now, you got to give full credit to them last week. They stole that game from our hearts, from the Warriors, and, it was a bit disappointing, a bit gutting to lose like that to Newcastle, but what can you say? They probably deserve it. A couple of big plays from Bradman Bess. The bench is pretty good. The Saifidi brothers were very good. But, I can't see the West Tigers here challenging Newcastle. And for me, this game's going to go one-way traffic. I'm going to say Newcastle by 20 points. And my first try scorer, I'm going to go with Inari Tuala. The last game on Sunday and the last game to finish the round sees the Cowboys versus the Titans at Queensland Country Bank Stadium down in Townsville. Now, going into this game, you look at the Titans' performance last week up against the Broncos at Seaway Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. They were far too good for the Brisbane Broncos. But I thought in the second half, I thought the Titans they clocked off a little bit on the scoreboard, I thought, and they probably want to improve on that going into this game against the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys have only got themselves to blame after losing that game against the Dragons last week. So, yeah, this one's a very tough game to call, actually. I don't know who's going to win this, but I do think this will be a very, very close game, a very tight one, and it's going to go down to the wire. Now, I've gone with the Cowboys with not much confidence at all, but, they really need to be winning these games, Cowboys, at home, against the Titans, against their rivals, and they really need to be winning this one. I reckon they'll win this by 2 points, the Cowboys, and first try scorer, I'm going with the Hammer, Habaso Tebo Fidel. So my tips are the Storm by 14, the Dragons by 8, the Roosters by 1, the Broncos by 12, the Eels by 26, the Newcastle Knights by 20, and the Cowboys by 2. So those are my tips. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, that would be much appreciated. And the channel's at 380 subscribers, so please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider doing so. Give the video a like as well, that'd be much appreciated, and share your tips in the comment section below. Who are you picking for this week's games, and which game are you looking forward to the most? And also, I will be doing a live reaction to the Warriors versus the Canberra Raiders this Saturday afternoon. I will do another video about that, just letting you guys know what time. So make sure you do keep an eye out for that little video announcement on the times I will be going live for the live reaction. And also, I'll be doing a review of the Warriors versus Raiders game straight after the live reaction. So make sure you tune in for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.